everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 13 and compare it against the iPhone 13 Pro and see which one you should buy in 2023. Now, personally, I think both these phones are great. I think they have a lot of capability, but let's go and see which one you should go and pick up. If you want to buy one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, you can definitely tell that both these phones are very, very solid. The iPhone 13, which again came out in 2021, both these phones came out the same exact year, has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now it's a fairly good panel, it has a lot of capability within it, which is really nice. The only thing going on with this specific device though is that it is a 60 Hz panel and it is not a 120 Hz screen. It's the end of the world? Not really, but it is nice to have a better, 120 Hz panel. But this is still a pretty decent screen and I haven't really complained about it too much. So I think that in and of itself is honestly pretty decent. Now with the iPhone 13 Pro, which has actually been my go-to phone for the last I don't even know, year and a half, this specific device also has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. But the big thing to keep in mind with this specific phone is that it is, technically speaking, it is a 120 Hz ProMotion panel, which is beautiful. Having a ProMotion panel is amazing, and that is a really cool thing that we have on this specific phone. Again, when you're getting a device like an iPhone 13 Pro Max or iPhone 13 Pro, you're getting a phone that's still going to be, having one of the better panels up until probably the next 5 years from now. So definitely speaking, I would say the 13 Pro looks better on the front, but there's also a ton of overlap. Now with the 13 Pro, it also has the better feeling body. So both these phones are almost exactly the same size. Maybe the 13 Pro is a little bit heavier, but you can see they have volume buttons and the rockers on the same sides. They have lightning ports at the bottom too, which is pretty cool. Now in the back, we do have a little bit of a different setup here as well. So we have a dual camera setup on the top left of the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 Pro, we have a triple camera setup. We have the LiDAR sensor here too, which is really cool. Now at the back of both these, we do have glass backs, but the iPhone 13 has the standard glass back, which is pretty cool. The iPhone 13 Pro has this frosted glass back, which I think is really nice. Having a frosted glass back is really cool, and that's one of my favorite things going on for the iPhone 13 Pro. Again, I think the iPhone 13 still feels premium, but the 13 Pro is probably the better one here. And they both have IP certification as well, and that kind of covers it up. There's still a lot of overlap here between both phones, and this is one of my most favorite things going on with these two devices. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. Now with the iPhone 13, you're actually getting, still the same supported lifelong longevity basically between both phones. So however long the iPhone 13 lasts will be basically how long the iPhone 13 Pro lasts. However, I have heard a lot of conflicting things, basically stating that because the iPhone 13 has a little bit of an underpowered chipset compared to the iPhone 13 Pro, that the 13 Pro will outlast it. I don't know if that's 100% the case, but just keep in mind both these phones are probably going to be lasting around the same exact amount of time. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there as well. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 13 has that Apple A15 body chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM, where the iPhone 13 Pro has that Apple A15 body chip inside of it with 6 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are clear in the background, so let us get into it. Let's do their app stores. 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro is here, 13 is here. And you can see the iPhone 13 Pro was the faster one there, at least for that specific application. Let's go and swipe down a little bit. And then what I want to do is when they're on the same spot, I want to go and click on the top right, 3, 2, 1. And they kind of got up at around the same time. Let's go and click on the next section. Let's see which one is faster here. 13 may have been faster there. Let's go and click into this one. They're connected to the same Wi-Fi, and the 13 Pro was the faster one there. So a little bit of overlap. Let's go and get into their cameras. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and take a photo. 3, 2, 1. And this one was on the macro mode, this one was not, so a little bit of a difference there. Swapping out, it did seem like to me that the iPhone 13 Pro was slightly glitchier there. Now we do have some games that we can kind of play that are overlapping. We have Subway Surfers. 3, 2, 1. So this is not the biggest game of all time. It's a small little one. I think majority of people have probably played. And the 13 Pro seems to be the faster one here, with the iPhone 13 being a little bit slower. Let's get into the next one. I don't even know where all these apps are. Let's go and try Temple Run 2. 3, 2, 1. Now again, this is not that big of a game either, but it is a pretty important one. I'm hoping there's no pop-ups or anything, so I'll click out of them. And there were no pop-ups. And we can see again the 13 Pro is the faster one here, which again, I'm expecting the 13 Pro to be the fast one every single time because it is, technically speaking, a faster phone and it does have more RAM there as well. Now you can see here, scrolling through, I mean, the 13 did look like it glitched a little bit, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. Hopping on this specific game, let's go ahead and see if we have another game that's overlapping between both. We have Roblox 3, 2, 1. And this one was, I mean, they both were on 2 different panels, so we'll just kind of let that one go as well. We have Clash of Clans on both, 3, 2, 1. Now, this game may need an update as well. The 13 got into that load screen a little bit faster. However, they both restarted. So let's see what's going to happen. And the 13 did get into it faster overall, in my opinion, than something like the iPhone 13 Pro. Hopping out of this specific one, let's get into another application, if we even have it. We'll do something like stack, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 13 Pro was the faster one there. We can try something like Netflix, 3, 2, 1. Again, the 13 Pro was a faster one, and we'll end it off with one more. Let's do Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. And basically almost the same thing. So when it comes down to it, I think both phones did a pretty good job. I think, though, when it's kind of all said and done, the iPhone 13 Pro, again, is probably going to be the faster one almost every single time. But something like the iPhone 13, I think, is still a fairly capable phone. But again, the iPhone, both these phones are very, very powerful. What am I talking about? The 13 Pro is just a little bit more powerful when it comes down to it. So in terms of that, it kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, I will definitely tell you, with the iPhone 13 Pro, you are getting a better camera on this device than on something like the iPhone 13, but I think a majority of people probably know that. So you're getting the same filming resolutions you can basically film in. So you can do 4K at 60 on the back, which is beautiful. On the front, you are getting 4K at 60 on the front, which is really nice as well. You're basically getting the same camera, except you are lacking the telephoto lens on the iPhone 13. Other than that, though, they're kind of the same. I think the lenses seem a little tiny bit bigger on the iPhone 13 Pro as well. And with the iPhone 13, again, you still have a lot of capability here. So I don't want to give the impression that the 13 is like so much worse than the 13 Pro. That is not the case. You're getting 0.5x zoom, which is beautiful. I think that's more than enough. But you're also getting 5x zoom, which is really cool. You're getting video mode, cinematic mode, slow mode, time lapse. You're getting photo, portrait, panorama mode as well. So this kind of stuff is really cool. And I mean, cinematic mode itself is a really nice feature to have. And I'm really happy that this type of device actually has that type of capability. Now with something like the iPhone 13 Pro, I think this is also a very good device. I mean, this is the better camera here for sure. And when I look at something like the 13 Pro and how this camera has been holding up the last few years, I think it's also been a really solid lens. You know, this is my go-to. This is my main phone I use every day. So you have a 0.5x zoom all the way on the outside. You have 15x zoom. Now phones have gotten better since then. So there's been a lot more phones who have like 30x zoom, even more than that. But this 15x zoom is still plenty enough for me, and I've never really had the need of like going above that. So I think the iPhone 13 Pro still has a very good camera there as well. And to kind of sum up the video, what I'll tell you is, I think it's quite clear, at least to me, that the iPhone 13 Pro is pretty much the better phone in 2023. If I was going to go ahead and recommend a phone to people to buy, the 13 Pro would definitely be the one I would probably recommend the majority of people to buy if you have the money. The 13 Pro is cheaper to buy in the used market from what I've seen than a brand new iPhone 13. So that might make a little bit more sense for people to go ahead and buy something like the iPhone 13 Pro than on something like the brand new iPhone 13. But if you want to go the brand new route, the iPhone 13 is the only brand new iPhone Apple is selling. So you don't really have too many other choices. You know, you have to go for the iPhone 13 or nothing. So I think the iPhone 13 is a really good phone, but the 13 Pro I think is the better one for sure. So in terms of that, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.